they blow it past my gym door and it all goes underneath. There's gonna be debris inside.
Movements like these are meant to gain strong and healthy shoulders.
Career changes. We're moving from the West Coast to... Can you say hi?
Hi.
I used to be the person who would have legitimate anxiety for days. What's up guys? Welcome to my YouTube channel. I figured that I'd throw a clip together essentially explaining who I am and what my plan is for this channel. I am a business owner in Northern California. I own a small personal training studio in Santa Cruz County. I'm a husband. I've been married coming up on almost 4 years now to my wife. We're high school sweethearts. We've been dating since 2015. We have a daughter together. She just turned 2 in February. Essentially, I wanted to start this channel as an opportunity to share some of the things that we're doing and that we're going through as mid to late 20s. Feels weird to say late 20s, but I'm 27 and my wife is also 27. Share some of the things that we're going through as far as career changes and, you know, a big move that we have coming up. We're moving from the West Coast to Middle Tennessee. So that's some of the things that you can have to look forward to on this channel. I'm going to be documenting a lot of that, but I figured I would use this clip to kind of explain the purpose of this channel. I'm not doing this to inspire anybody. I really like consuming content on YouTube. It's really the only social media that I use. I love YouTube. I'll watch whatever. If it's somebody who makes interesting content, I'm in. I'll watch a random person who works for Amazon that lives in New York. I have no idea who they are, but their content is interesting. They can film mundane things. It's interesting to see an inside view of people's lives. This is gonna be the focus of my channel. A few different things. Being a business owner, the life of an entrepreneur and the work that goes into that, kind of just shedding some insight on that as a personal trainer, being a dad, being a husband, the family lifestyle side, and then also the changes that come from that. The fact that we have a really big move coming up. I figured my mom and dad have home footage. That's not really something that people do a ton nowadays. This is my opportunity to record and have home footage per se. I just figured, why not record? The last part, actually, probably one of the more important parts, not more important than the other things I listed, but I'm a former athlete, right? I've played sports all the way through high school, from the beginning all the way through high school, and then I had a pretty gnarly concussion. Did not play football after that, but fell in love with the preparation for sports, and that's how I got into my enjoyment of bodybuilding and whatnot. And then my love for training kind of sprouted, and that's how I got into personal training. But that all changes, not everybody, but for some people, when you get married, you have a kid. For me, nothing changed when we got married, but when my wife Caitlin and I had our daughter Sienna, things changed dramatically for the time that I had to put towards the gym, my motivation, the love for training. It all kind of shifted for me, and maybe that resonates with you or maybe not at all. Maybe this is some insight if you're with somebody right now and you're planning on having a kid or your partner's pregnant. It can change. I'm gonna record pretty much everything about me, right? And part of that is getting back into the swing of training and loving training. I'm gonna give myself the opportunity to love it again, and you guys will get to see how I organize my training programs, show that I know what I'm talking about, and you'll get to see real-time results with me. I want to get back to being athletic, not just strong. I want to run, jump, climb, crawl, do all the things. Maybe it's something different for you to watch if you haven't tuned into somebody doing that. 27-year-old dad, business owner, trying to get in good shape. That's what this channel is going to boil down to. I'm not a spectacular person, but you're going to see some real life things, the real deal stuff. I apologize if I sound stuffy. That's the one part about having a kid, especially a young kid. They get sick a lot, which means you get sick a lot. Getting over a cold. I may take you guys out to the garage right now. We're 5 months out from moving, right? So right now it is mid-March 2026. My lease is up at the gym as of July 31st. So August 1 is when we're really getting into moving mode, like actually moving. So we got a hold of a moving company, got some quotes there. They seem really cool. So I think I'm gonna take you guys out to the garage, kind of show you the craziness of the garage. We're currently living with my in-laws, my wife's parents. I have been doing that the last year and a half to save. They were kind enough to let us do that. So we took them up on that offer, and it's been a blessing since we moved in. They've been really helpful. We are really grateful for them, but now it's time to fly the coop. I'm gonna take you guys out to the garage. We'll look at the disaster. I think it's a disaster, but I'm doing my best to organize it. Hope you guys enjoy it. Welcome to the channel. Stay tuned for continual life changes. That's what it's like with a kid, with a family. It'll be fun. Good to see you guys. out in the garage, going through stuff out here. Like I said, yeah, there is not a ton of stuff, but when we moved in, we had stuff to bring. There's still some loose stuff. I think I said that we don't move for another 5 months, but yeah. Can you say hi?
Hi.
Hi. This is Sienna. These are some of the boxes that we've gone through, repacked. We organized them. When we moved, it was like, you're Sienna. Yeah. Do you want to organize your princess dollies for me? Those are spider webs. Do you want to organize your princess dollies for me? And then I'll bring you a box to put some books in. Okay, go back to your blanket. I'll bring you a box. Life with a 2-year-old. We moved out, and when we did move out, do you have a box next to you?
No.
I see one right there. That's a box. Can you grab that and put your princess dollies in it for me? Thank you.
So far away.
It's so far away. There you go. When we moved, I don't know if anybody else has had this experience, but it was our experience. It was my fault. Oh, 5 days. That's enough time to get everything out and have the place cleaned. Wrong. Not correct. We moved out and we were there until like 11 p.m. the last night, cleaning vigorously. And so a lot of the stuff that we packed up was, really haphazardly packed. That's Ariel. But yeah, we reorganized and went through, packed up a whole bunch of stuff. Got the Nintendo Switch, the old Xbox in there, just like a whole bunch of boxes of stuff. We did get rid of a lot of stuff when we moved, but we've acquired some new furniture from my wife's great aunt. She gave us, some furniture that she was going to part ways with. Emptied probably 25 boxes full of things that we're parting ways with that we didn't think matched our vibe anymore. Honestly, there was some garbage, not food garbage, but like things that were just like, these should have been tossed, but they were packed when we moved because it was so last minute. My fault. It's a beautiful day out. We're out in the garage doing that. Probably gonna set this up.
Hi-yo.
Hi-yo. You wanna say hi one more time?
Hi.
Hi. What's your name?
I'm Sienna.
You're Sienna. How old are you?
Good.
Good. How old are you? How many years?
What?
2. Can you make a silly face? Ooh. Yeah, I'll set up the camera. Be doing some stuff out here as I trip and fall.
I got Ariel.
Where'd she go? All right, I gotta find Ariel. See you guys in a second. All right, just finished up out in the garage. I made a run to Home Depot. I got some bubble wrap. Let's see, what time is it? It's 8:37 right now, so that pretty much gives me about an hour to get some computer work done for the work week starting tomorrow. Today's Sunday, the 15th. I wanted to show y'all the garage progress. I gotta get used to looking here and not there. Not a finished product, but it looks a lot better and there's like a clear pathway to walk. So what we're working with. So all the boxes pretty much like here and below, so probably about 15 to 20 boxes are fully packed and ready to go. A lot of our kitchen that doesn't need to be in the house because we don't need duplicates, right? We moved in with my in-laws and they already have all the kitchenware. So we went through all this, packed it up. Sorry, it's dark, and it's ready to move. I mean, we're, like I said, 5 months out, but we want to be ready to go. And then this stuff on top, loose boxes, probably about 20 of those that are boxes of things that we ended up getting rid of or donated. Got rid of a lot of stuff that needed to go that we had just packed up because it needed to get out quick. So I don't know what we're working with. A lot more cleaned up. Nice pathway through here now. We're not commandeering the entire garage. We have some of the furniture. Those are some extra boxes. A mirror leaned up against there. We've got our fire pit, and then there's two other. Got some cool furniture. I actually don't know if that's ours. I know that's ours. Yeah, we kind of have mismatched furniture, but my wife and I like that. We like older stuff. We know that it's beat up, but we've got a kid and we hope to have more, so it doesn't need to be perfect. Nice walkway. This is super satisfying to be able to have that done. It's the stuff in the middle. Like I said, I'm getting rid of that black bike. This is our trailer that we tow our daughter behind us on bike rides, and then some garage sale donation stuff right here. Really satisfying to see that work out. I am happy with that. So now the game plan is to go do some computer work. I am finishing out the build out on a portal that I'm making for online coaching clients, where I need to tomorrow film probably 2 hours worth of demo exercises to add to that portal. I'm gonna do that game planning, like that content filming prep tonight, so I know what to do, where to have a camera set up and whatnot. Probably won't do any client programming tonight. I like to make sure that I'm ready to go for the work week, so depending on what phase of training a client is in, I will have that session built out before they train. I actually have no real in-person client work to do tomorrow. I have several clients that rescheduled from Monday to later in the week, so that is really nice. I'm gonna go down, do some computer work, make sure that I'm ready to go. I'll probably update you guys on what the game plan is for tomorrow. I keep looking up there. I gotta stop doing that. I have the screen flipped up so I can see myself, but maybe I should just, what if I just do this? Yeah, now I have to look there, but now I can't see what I look like. Yeah, this might be bad. I'm gonna run you guys through what my game plan is for tomorrow, probably tomorrow morning when I'm eating breakfast. I'm gonna be up early tomorrow, so I'm stoked to have the garage done. Nice walkway here. It doesn't feel like the door is gonna close on anything. Whole bunch of stuff, but we're making progress. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next clip.
50. That's a great LTC one for an average. Net revenue is usually where we work well. And then what do? We retarget those consumer programs on it. And I did that, and I noticed that we are not able to continue to make sure that we're getting
We are headed to the gym, just finished up meal one. This is not as early as I wanted to do today. One thing that will always ring true is when your kid has a cold or is sick, it will definitely affect your sleep. I'm one of those people that, like, I can sleep somewhat heavily, but if she coughs hard enough in the middle of the night, I am awake. I am waking up right away and flipping over and making sure nothing's going wrong. So didn't get super great sleep last night. I had the luxury of today being no in-person client day, so I slept another hour, got up at about 7:30 and got to move a little slower. I got probably like another 3 minutes before I get to the gym. Come on, man. Sometimes people just drive so weird. So the training phase that I'm in right now is phase one of a periodized training program. I'm starting out with a lot of joint focused work, going from football in high school, that type of training, to a more traditional like bodybuilding hypertrophy type training. The one thing that I've noticed is that my mobility and my joint stability, of course I don't make that light, is no bueno. So I am pretty inflexible, and there's a lot of limitations regarding range of motion that definitely play a role in how my body feels. I've got some ankle discomfort for sure. I've never been somebody with good ankle mobility. I always felt that as a kid. I remember I got custom orthotics. The doctor that was checking out my foot was like checking ankle range of motion, and he was like trying to move my ankle, and he looked at me and was like, "Is this really all that you've been working with?" I was like, "Yeah." I wore those orthotics probably 3 times and then never wore them again. I don't know if it would have helped or not, but we're working at it now. My goal for this first phase is to improve joint stability. So today is the foot and ankle complex and the knee. So you're gonna see some of that work. I've got 2 warm-up movements. I've got to follow that with 4 mobility movements, and then 4 strength movements, and then 2 core/abdominal movements. My goal is to get this done in about 50 minutes, 50. Get it done with efficiency, because my daughter has a doctor's appointment and I need to be done and ready to help my wife out to get to that. This is phase 1 of the training cycle that I'm in right now. This would be week 3 for me. I will be rolling through that. The game plan is to run this phase of training for maybe another week, but we shall see. Regardless, we're gonna see some of the mobility and activation movements that I'm doing throughout the training program all the way through, just because it's so crucial to maintaining baseline mobility and joint stability. Pulling up to the gym right now. Luckily, it's like a 5-minute drive from the house right now. That's gonna be something that I miss when I move, is how close the gym is. Oh, and the leaf blower guys here, like a property maintenance crew who, God bless them, they clean up the premises. And I know it's not easy work, leaf blowing and stuff like that, it's not easy work, comma, they blow it past my gym door and it all goes underneath. I guarantee you I'm gonna walk past and there's gonna be debris inside. We'll check that out, you'll see. I'm not gonna be mad though. I'm grateful for them doing that. All right, I'll see you guys inside. Finished up at the gym. Was not able to get everything done that I wanted to get done, but that's okay. I got through 2 warm-up movements. I got through the 4 mobility movements, which are really the crucial parts of this phase of training, because the next phase is pretty much just strength training plus some mobility work. But I'll have my time in the sun to do traditional strength training movements, so I'm not worried about it. Got through the mobility movements and then I was able to get through 1 of the supersets completely, so I just missed out on a superset and some core work. But I was thinking about it. I felt like this is a good opportunity to share my experience with that type of occurrence, right? You go to the gym, maybe you have a program, maybe you don't, but maybe you don't get everything in that you want to get in. I used to be the person who would have legitimate anxiety for days about not having gotten everything done that I wrote down to get done. I'm sorry, it's really bad lighting in here. I made it clear in the beginning of this video that my goal with this, being a business owner, a husband, a father, is to love the time that I have to focus on myself. You know, I don't get a ton of time to do that, so I think it's important that instead of being anxious that we didn't do it perfectly or that we didn't get everything done, let's just be grateful that we were able to get to the gym, really put in that work while we were at it, do stuff that we're not good at that is gonna make us better. Just be grateful that we're able to move, right? Because there's people out there who don't have the opportunity to even get to the gym. So, you know, I choose to be grateful instead of be anxious, and I feel like that's a really powerful tool, because I trained that way for 5 years of just anxiety if I didn't get it done, anxiety if I wasn't markedly better the next week. I am not choosing to live like that, and part of that is having a kid, right? Sometimes it takes a real big life change like that to realize that you are not the center of attention. And that doesn't mean you never give yourself attention. What it does mean is that when you do, you actually make the most of it, and there's not wasted time, wasted emotion on I didn't do enough or I didn't do it perfectly. That's my TED Talk. Sienna's doctor's appointment went well, and now we're home. Got a whole bunch of stuff to do today. We're going through some clothes to see what we want to take with us when we move, and things that we can donate or get rid of. We got that planned. I'm debating on if I'm going to go in today to record those demo videos for my client portal for online coaching clients during Sienna's nap time, or if I will plan that for another day this week. We'll see. I may do that Wednesday because I don't train on Wednesdays. I'm doing a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday training split, and then gonna move into more athletic training on Saturdays. Sienna's doctor's appointment went good. Now beef and rice. Got some more bubble wrap yesterday too. We have a lot of china that Caitlin has collected over the last year or so, and honestly we have a pretty cool little collection. It's nothing crazy, but we're happy about it. I have to stop looking up here. We'll probably be in the garage a bit today. I didn't get to finish everything that I wanted to in the gym, so I may do some work here at home. Probably some core work, some core endurance, and then just client work to be ready for the day tomorrow. Got 6 clients tomorrow, so gotta be ready for that. I will be training early tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning I'm gonna be up probably around the 5:15 range, eating at 5:30, training 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. and then eating sometime after that. We'll see. I'm not stressing about post-workout meal timing or anything. I'm gonna take this food down. This is meal number 2. Right now it's 11:51. We're gonna continue to sort, go through stuff. Feels good to purge and get rid of stuff that we know that we don't need to bring with us. Ready to grub. Here's our meal 2. Got some ground beef, some jasmine rice, and some pico de gallo, and a little princess. Hi. This is a camera. What do you think? Are you enjoying your cookie? Okay. I love you. Did a whole bunch of organizing. Essentially, we're kind of just going through clothes and figuring out what we want to keep and get rid of. So did some good work. These are Sienna's clothes. These are Caitlin's clothes. Separated them so that we can kind of go through them, decide what she wants to keep, what we should get rid of or pack away. And the interesting part with having a kid is you buy clothes or you're gifted clothes and they grow out of them so fast. But if you plan on having more kids, if you like what the clothes look like, you can pack them away and save them. We're trying not to get rid of stuff that we like necessarily. We're trying to have an idea of what we could see moving forward for maybe another kid. That'll be a good little time lapse, satisfying, getting all those sorted out. That is not all of the laundry. There will be more. A laundry sorting channel. I'm gonna check the laundry and see if it's done. Bring some more in here, quickly sort that, and then I am going to do some computer work that I didn't get to do last night to be ready for that content filming. Satisfied. It's the end of the day. It's 8:52 right now. I don't even know what the last clip was, but we had to go grocery shopping. Desperately needed groceries. Kind of along the same lines as what I was talking about before, about like not having anxiety with training, not having anxiety with like the food either. I don't want to sound like a broken record and just be like, just don't be anxious that you're doing things that are off plan. Really the reason why you can have confidence behind what you do is by doing what you need to 90% of the time, and then understanding that there are some times that plans change. Same deal with the food. I used to be the person that like I would go to the store right then and there. If I was eating 2 whole eggs, 150 grams of jasmine rice, and 3.5 ounces of ground turkey or whatever protein, I would go and I would make sure that that was exactly what I was eating. But that's like the type of mentality that like burnt me out. Had to go grocery shopping, got all that done. Now we are back Caitlin and Sienna are asleep. I was able to take a shower. I've got some client programming to do. I have 6 clients tomorrow. I've got about 35 minutes to do it. No time to waste. Gonna get that done. It's been a good day. I really don't want this to be like, it's gonna be boring because it's not like I'm doing anything exciting. I don't want it to be 6 minutes long. So we'll fill it with stuff, some B-roll working or whatever, nothing special. Tomorrow we're up early. I said that I was gonna get up early this morning, but Sienna's sleep was no bueno. Yeah, when it 3 in the morning rolls around and she's still getting over a cough and she wakes herself up from that cough, I have a hard time going back to sleep quickly. It's hard to get up 2 hours later. Tomorrow morning, we are up at 5:15 a.m. I have my alarm set already. We've got a client at 7. I say we, like you guys are doing it too. I have a client at 7. So my goal is to wake up at 5:15, be eating by 5:30, be at the gym and training by 6, and go 6 to 7. I have my client at 7. I've got another client 8 to 8:30, 9 to 10, 11 to 12, 3:30 to 4:15, 4:15 to 5. I got a little break during the day. I'm gonna use that to do some more computer work, probably help Caitlin sort out some of the clothes. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on. It's not anything exciting, but I figure I'll put this out there for whoever wants to watch monotonous stuff. It is what it is. I'm gonna get to work. It is 9:50. I did not train this morning at 6 a.m. Sienna still getting over a cold. It's challenging with that. So yeah, no, we did not train early. I had 2 clients this morning. I had a last minute cancellation, which made it so that I could get home and eat. Now I'm going back. I'm gonna train essentially from 10 to 11, and then I have a client 11 to noon, and then I will come home. My daughter typically takes like a nap around 12:30 or 1 o'clock, so I'll have some time to spend with her. Today is St. Patrick's Day. My mother-in-law is one of those people that likes to decorate for holidays that I wouldn't even like blink twice at, but makes it fun. So she had some stuff decorated for Sienna, and Sienna got to see some leprechaun tricks that they had played, so that's special. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna film this training session as well. I got a limited amount of time. It's part of the reason why I wanna train early in the morning, because if I eat around 5:30 and I'm there just before 6 or around 6, I can have a little bit of freedom. I'm doing my best to fit my training sessions into an hour block, which is kind of hard. I need to get used to that, especially when the work that I'm doing is stuff that I'm not good at. The last thing that I want to do is rush. So I'm not rushing, of course. I don't make this light. I need to make sure that I'm doing it right and that I'm getting it done in a reasonable amount of time. And I feel like 60 minutes is plenty to do so. Today, our goal is to get through everything. I didn't get to get through everything in the last training session because of my daughter's doctor's appointment, which went well. We're aimed to get through everything today. We're not gonna rest too much. We've got a shoulder, elbow, and wrist stability focused training session, way outside of my realm of normal in terms of what a training session would look like. Typically, I would be doing a traditional hypertrophy split, you know, like the chest and triceps, back and biceps, push-pull legs, something of that sort. But this first phase of training is more fine-tuned, right? I'm trying to go through the movements with more of a fine-tooth comb, make sure that I've ironed out little issues or discrepancies that my body has that would lead to issues later or lack of performance later, because this training block is definitely gearing towards more athletic training. Elbow, wrist, shoulder, that's the focus. So we're gonna get at it. An hour, then a client, and then I have 2 more clients this afternoon. We're on a roll.
What's up, guys? Here's a voiceover for this workout. It's a stabilization focused training session. I'm starting out with warm-up movement 1 out of 2. starting with a 5-minute walk on a slight incline at a low speed. The main thing I'm focusing on here is keeping my feet pointed straight ahead, especially because I tend to have my right foot turn out. For warm-up number 2 of 2, I'm moving into a 5-minute upright bike at a moderate pace with low to moderate resistance. Just like the treadmill, I'm focusing on keeping my foot pointed straight ahead as I drive that leg down and extend through the pedal. This is the first movement in my mobility section, and the goal here is to start building tolerance in deeper ranges of both internal and external rotation at the shoulder. Overall strength through the shoulder joint is limited by how well the rotator cuff can stabilize load in these positions, so it's important for us to remember that strong and stable shoulders for pressing and rowing movements depend on having control and endurance here. My shoulder mobility isn't perfect, but that's exactly why I'm prioritizing it. You can see right now I'm rotating into internal rotation, and it is way more limited than external. It's not an issue to recognize that that's a problem, but it is an issue to ignore it. This is a continuation of my mobility section. In this phase of training, I'm really trying to prioritize optimal range of motion before I start heavily loading the joints. The movement that you're seeing here is a shoulder CAR, which stands for controlled articular rotation, where I'm actively taking that shoulder joint through a wider variety of positions, including flexion, extension, abduction, internal and external rotation. The goal here is to improve active control and joint tolerance through the full available range. I'm somebody who's always had issues with shoulder mobility, so movements like these are meant to gain and maintain strong and healthy shoulders. Moving on, we've got mobility movement number 3 of 4, which is an elbow CAR. The goal here is to minimize movement happening at the shoulder so I can really isolate the motion at the elbow joint itself. That includes flexion and extension, and with the added supination and pronation of the forearm, I'm also creating more rotational demand at the elbow. The goal of this is to build better control and tolerance through all of those available ranges. This movement isn't a typical one that I've done in the past, but I can tell you that it felt good to move that elbow through ranges of motion that I don't typically prioritize that heavily. Here we have the last movement of our mobility portion of this training session with a wrist CAR. It is just like the shoulder and elbow CARs. The goal is to actively take the joint through its maximal available range. That includes flexion and extension at the wrist, along with radial and ulnar deviation, which is just the side-to-side motion of the wrist. Really good idea to keep that forearm as stable and still as possible with these to isolate and get full control at the wrist. I'm taking my time with this here, and it definitely proved to be relatively challenging. Shifting gears from that mobility portion of this training session, we have the first movement of the strength portion. This is a half kneeling neutral grip dumbbell overhead press. This movement highlights how important shoulder mobility is. If shoulder flexion is limited, it's going to be difficult to press in a true vertical path. I'm using 10-pound dumbbells here so I can focus on getting shoulder flexion without arching through my lower back to get there. Here we have a shoulder flexion liftoff, and it was paired as a superset with that overhead press. This is an isometric movement where I'm aiming to hold shoulder flexion from a prone position. It's a great way to expose how much you might tend to use extension through the spine instead of actually achieving true shoulder flexion. Unfortunately, this is all I was able to film because my camera battery died, but there was another strength superset and then 2 core focused movements that followed this. Thanks for joining me, and enjoy the rest of the vlog.
What's up, you guys? It is Thursday morning, the 19th. I did not film yesterday, Wednesday. It was a very, very long work day. I had 8 personal training clients. Got to work yesterday at 6:55 and then didn't come home until close to 4 p.m. So a whole bunch of personal training clients yesterday. Today, different story. I've got 4 this morning from 7 until 11, and then I've got 2 clients this afternoon, early evening, 2:30 until 4:30. Nothing crazy today. I'm gonna train. I'm eating right now. I have a 7 a.m. client, so I'm gonna get to the gym in the next 5 minutes, bust out 55 minute workout. Last night, Sienna did not sleep super great, but it was the best that it's been, so I'm getting it done early in the morning. I don't feel like doing this, but the way I look at this is if I can do this, I can get it done. That gives me more time to do some back-end work for online coaching clients during her nap time, and then when she's awake, I get to be with her. It gives me more work time and more time with her, so it's a win-win. You guys are gonna see me at the gym. I'm gonna record some footage, and then you'll probably see me after I'm off work. All right, we're at the gym. It's Friday. I had a last minute cancellation, so that means that I get a slight bit more time to get my training in. We're gonna go into a new for you guys, training day. We've got scapulae and spine focus today. So we'll be working the functions of the shoulder blades, elevation, depression, protraction, retraction, moving those in conjunction with the shoulders, and then some spinal mobility work, thoracic rotation work, anterior serratus work, some cat-cow. And I'm actually gonna do some explaining throughout the session. We're gonna get after it right now. So we're gonna start with scap circles. Scapulae can elevate with upward rotation, depress with downward rotation. We can protract, right? So shoulders round forward, and we can retract, shoulders round back and together. So what we're gonna do for this one, we're gonna have single arm focus right now. So we're gonna be unilateral, focusing one side at a time. I'm gonna keep engaged core. I'm gonna stay vertical with the torso. And all I'm gonna do here is I'm going to shrug and look for scapular elevation. And because this is a circle, I wanna make a good deep angle here, aiming to draw the furthest point of the circle. And at this point now, I'm at the bottom of the movement. I'm going to retract, draw the shoulder back and up. I'm at top. I'm gonna pull back and I'm gonna work in reverse order. I'm at the base, protract, elevate, and I'm at the top. So the other thing to consider with the scap circle too is the compensatory strategies that your body's gonna try to take in order to successfully complete a movement. So what we're looking for is as much of isolated scapular motion as possible. Really quickly to point out the ways that you might notice your body changing or altering the movement as a whole. You may see this happening, right? So we don't want frontal plane dip. I want individualized elevated shoulder. So we have off shoulder not moving, right? So we're here and down, rather than here where you get trunk flexion, right? Lateral flexion, you get fall of the shoulders. We're avoiding that. The other thing you might notice happening if you're implementing some of these movements is from a lateral view, you may elevate the shoulder and that's all and good. And then when you go to protract, you turn with it, right? So we're not working transverse rotation here. We're working isolated as much as possible, right? There's small deviations that you can work on and improve in terms of efficiency, but we're looking for a elevation, protraction where that torso stays still, depression, retraction, back into elevation, and then reversing. So we're moving that circle around that orbit of that shoulder rather than moving the body in conjunction. While I was doing those movements, I realized that there is another really key compensation that your body will try to implement. We talked about protraction, right? How a lot of the times protraction can lead to some flexion and rotation. The same thing is true in the opposite sense. So retraction, as we know, is shoulder blades coming together, right? That motion of shoulder blades together can sometimes become this. Scapular retraction can be associated with this flaring of the ribs and extension at the spine, but we're not looking for that. That's the cue about keeping an engaged core. That engaged core isn't shortening our core so that we're flexing at the spine and getting rounded. An engaged core is maintaining an upright torso, staying here, and when we come into this scap retraction, it's not because I'm arching, sending the sternum this way and sending the shoulder this way. It's because I am deliberately retracting my scapulae. I feel shoulder blade motion. If this is the side of the shoulder blade that's working, I feel that shoulder blade moving towards the other one. Those are really huge cues. These movement compensation can, really affect the efficiency of the movement. It's not bad for things to move. Being able to move your spine through flexion and extension, rotation, we're not saying those are bad at all. Those are very good and vital for healthy movement, optimal movement. But for this case, where we're really trying to isolate the scapulae, those shoulder blades with that shoulder joint, we want to limit the rotation, the flexion, extension of the spine here. All right, so now we're in quadruped, hands and knees. We're gonna work flexion and extension through a movement called cat-cow. This movement is tied into pelvic motion, pelvic awareness. What you're gonna see are gonna be two positions of the spine. You're gonna see a large thoracic rounding outwards, and then some lumbar and thoracic rounding down. You're also gonna see some cervical motion. I'm not going to shut my cervical spine off while performing these movements. You're gonna see motion from top to bottom. I wanna create rounding. It's happening from bottom to top, top to bottom. Pelvic motion is totally tied to this. I can round through my spine, but there's only so much that I can get there without tucking my pelvis, without tilting the pelvis back and down. Same thing is true for that extension position where I am dropping belly button to the ground. I can only get so much access through the spine, but I can tilt that pelvis forward, anterior tilt, we're here, and I can access more extension there. I'm gonna rock this, show a few reps of this guy, and then we're gonna move off this. We've got 2 sets of 10 reps. None of these mobility movements are super laden with volume. They're really focused on quality of movement at relatively lower volume. 6 to 10 reps, maybe 12. If I'm going beyond that, it's something that's more fast paced. Some of these movements I really wanna draw out. I wanna get the most out of them because what we're trying to do here is teach proper pathways. We're not trying to be as quick as possible. We're not trying to get it done as fast as possible. We're trying to relearn how to move so that when we move to the next phase of training, we are better prepared, we're less likely to get injured, etc., etc. Cat-cow finished. We're gonna roll onto supine position, which is on our back. We're gonna be hook lying. We're gonna have knees bent, feet flat on the floor. And what I wanna do here is a movement called a serratus punch. Serratus anterior musculature that interacts with the scapulae and the ribs. There's attachments here, and it's gonna pull essentially my shoulder blades into protraction. Protraction is partially built around that serratus pull forward. Right now, I'm in a neutral shoulder position, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to punch for the ceiling, right? So punching here. Right now, I'm in a neutral position. These muscles are shortening and pulling my shoulder forward, then relaxing and allowing shoulder to fall back down. So what we're gonna do here is, I don't wanna overemphasize this posterior pelvic tilt where we are, tucking and we're so engaged in our core and we start to turtle shell here. That's not neutral spine. What we want to do is manage the space between low back and mat. So if you notice that when you're on the mat, you could slide your hand under your low back really easily, probably developing a good amount of anterior tilt, this pelvis tilting forward. I want to manage that, keep my spine neutral, feet driven into the floor. From this position, we're gonna go both at the same time, and we're gonna look for 10 reps. I'm not arching low back. I'm going to punch, and then I'm gonna control back to starting position. All the while, I'm keeping an extended elbow. It's not this. It is strictly punch and then control down. The other thing that we're avoiding when we punch, we're not shrugging, right? So I'm not looking for shoulder elevation traveling this way. I'm looking for shoulders to elevate off the ground, traveling in that line of force through that fist. We've got seated thoracic rotation. So we're gonna take that spine, and rather than flexing, extending, we are going to rotate. We're gonna create rotation through the spine. I'm using a dowel, kind of broomstick looking thing. You can use anything that is light enough weight that it's not going to be creating this force where you have to actively work to stay upright. I don't want that to be the focus. I don't need to be working against that force. Really what we're trying to do is isolate rotational force production of the muscles that associate with the vertebrae of the spine. So you can use something like this. I'll show a demo of this without this. If you're doing this at home, you could use a broom. If you're doing this at the gym for prep work, for upper body or lower body training session, and you just want to make sure that your spinal mobility is on par, you can hug chest in this position and we can create rotation all the same. I like the dowel because it gives me frame of reference. What we can do here is stay vertical, create rotation, and there's something about having my body attached to this that allows me to have a little bit better of that mind muscle connection. It's not integral for this movement. You can absolutely do this movement with no fixed piece of equipment on your back, but what this is gonna look like is we're gonna have head move with body. We're not disjointed cervical spine staying neutral and thoracic spine rotating. We're gonna have it all rotate together. So I have an engaged core. I'm going to rotate to my maximum and then rotate back, rotate away, and then rotate back. The key here is we want to create rotation of the spine, but we want to avoid pelvic rotation. What I don't want to do is turn here like this. The other thing that can easily happen is you start to see forward and backward motion. You notice that while you're rotating, the leg that you are rotating to that side is starting to come back. If we're rotating this way and you see this happening, we're creating rotation not just through the thoracic spine, but you're also creating rotation through that hip motion. Paying attention to those cues as far as the femur, the upper leg. If you notice there's motion there, you're probably not isolating your thoracic spine. You're probably getting some pelvic rotation in there as well. Again, motion is not bad. Motion is good. Isolation is the focus here, so we're trying to limit that. All of the strength training movements that I'm doing are gonna be between 10 and 15 reps. What we're looking for here is neutral spinal position, maintaining pelvic control. We're avoiding what oftentimes you see in bent over rowing movements. Good form to start on relatively parallel to the floor, and throughout the set you'll see a few different things, one of which is rounding. You're gonna get fatigued through the hips and through the spine and you're gonna round, or as you row you stand up. We're avoiding those two movement compensations. We're going to hinge at our hips, maintain level posture through the spine. We're going to avoid rounding, and we're going to look for scapular retraction and then control back to starting position.